Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you all for joining us today for our energy efficiency webinar. I'm Lauren Owens, Cobb EMC's Consumer Marketing Specialist, and we have an exciting webinar planned for you guys today. Now I would like to hand it over to Krista Williams, our Consumer Marketing Coordinator, and Tim Jarrell, who is our Cobb EMC's Vice President of Power Supply, Rates, and DER Strategy. They're going to be going over energy costs and how our members can help save. Krista?
Thank you, Lauren, and thank you, Tim, for joining me for this portion of our event this afternoon. I know this is a really timely and important conversation for our members. It's no secret that it is very hot outside this week, and with that comes higher energy usage. So conserving energy and learning how to be very energy efficient is important. So thank you for being here and sharing with our members today. So our first question to kind of get us started, Tim, obviously working in the position that you do, you keep a very close pulse on the energy market. So if you could maybe get us started by telling our members a bit more about what the overall energy landscape is looking like today.
Sure. Thank you for the opportunity to speak today. So no surprise, I'm sure everybody's noticed prices at the gas pumps have certainly more than doubled than last year. Well, that's no exception to the fuel we use for our generation resources to meet our members' load. So really over the past year, we've seen natural gas more than double at the levels today than where they were last year. So you combine that with the limited coal inventory due to supply chain issues with the railroads and higher power costs in other fuels, we've definitely seen wholesale power cost increase in meeting our members' loads. With many coal plants retiring in the near future, we're relying more and more on natural gas to supply our needs. So that's why it's important for Cobb EMC and other utilities to explore other options such as renewable energy options. And we've added renewable energy over the last few years and increased that to almost 10% of our energy portfolio now comes from renewable resources. And we'll continue to do that in the future, looking at a well-diversified energy portfolio, because that's the most important thing, in my opinion, to meet the short and long-term energy needs.
I think that's a really helpful high-level overview. And just like you said, like everything else out there, prices are going up. So talking about Cobb EMC specifically, where is it that our power comes from overall? And have we seen increases in those power costs?
Sure. Another great question. So we've got quite a diversified portfolio. We have nuclear power, we have natural gas generation, we've got coal, we've got solar, we've got hydro, and we've got pump storage. Which is where you can actually generate electricity from moving water from one location to the other through what's called pump storage. We also have some landfill gas facility and biomass facility, which is treetops. We've got ownerships in all these resources, as well as access to energy markets, to where if we can buy energy cheaper on the market than what we can generate, we'll certainly do that. And sell excess when we have it, when we can make economic sense out of it, then that'll also make money and help reduce power cost. So we do all those things to keep our power costs as low as possible. Simply put, we've seen increases in power costs, mainly due to rising natural gas prices and the limited availability of the cheaper resources, which is coal. There's also been an increase in natural gas exports out of the US into other parts of the world. So that's helped driven prices up here in the US. And since 35 to 45% of our electricity comes from natural gas, that's been a factor in increasing the cost.
And the energy costs are just part of it, right? There's other things that go into our overall cost structure, the cost that we have to pay to provide power to members, right?
That's right. So energy cost is only about 35% of power costs for a typical utility. The other 65% is the cost in the building the facilities and all the fixed costs that make up that. But there's also cost in the transmission to getting the power from the generation to the substations, but also lines from the substation to our members' homes and our commercial businesses. And then you have the labor, the back office, the other expenses and those costs. So to keep the high reliability that we have at Cobb EMC, being the second in the nation, we invest in keeping our lines and up to date and trees cleared best we can from the lines and maintain that high reliability. So that's why our members don't see a lot of outages, and we like it that way. So then you add the maintenance of the generation facilities, all that is included in the cost to serve our members.
And I know our members really appreciate the high reliability that they get from Cobb EMC. And in addition to that, can you talk a little bit about some of the things that Cobb EMC has done to help keep our rates low for members?
Yeah, sure. So we've been talking about natural gas prices being much higher than they were a year ago. And with 35 to 45% of our generation coming from natural gas, one thing we do is we do a forecast of how much natural gas burn we're going to have to generate power. And we'll go out and do some natural gas hedging against rising prices. So we do that. We do that during the summer when our loads are the highest. We're a summer peaking utility compared to those EMCs or utilities that have higher winter peaks and they do summer peaks. So by doing that, we're protecting ourselves and mitigating some of the rising cost of natural gas. And we did that for this summer. That has helped us tremendously, especially as much as natural gas has come up. So that passes on to our members in keeping our power costs lower than where it would be if we'd not hedged anything. The other thing is through our ownership of Gas South, we've been able to absorb some of the recent higher cost of power, and we haven't passed that on to our members because of the dividend payments that come back to Cobb EMC and our members from Gas South. So add that with the energy markets that we can purchase from when it's cheaper and sell when we can make money on selling excess into the market. All of those combined help keep our power costs low as possible.
It definitely sounds like there's a lot of work behind the scenes to keep those rates low for our members. So I know our members appreciate all the work that you and your team do on that. But Cobb EMC is only actually a part of the equation. So a lot of this is on our members too, right?
Yeah, so when our members conserve energy, especially during those peak times, that certainly is a win-win for our members and for the utility. Usually the hottest days of the summer, that's when the air conditioning units are running the hardest and a lot of energy is being used, both at homes and businesses. So at the end of the day, it's our responsibility to make sure we have enough energy and capacity to meet not only short-term, but long-term needs. So we forecast out many, many years what the growth will look like and make sure we've got enough assets to meet those loads. Members, when they can reduce their overall energy usage during peak times, that means we can buy less in the short and long term because they're doing basically a demand response program for us and reducing their energy bills, but also reducing the needs that we have to buy to meet those needs. So it is a win-win. Members would see lower bills and we would see lower power cost in having to meet those loads. In addition, we offer what's called the lifestyle rate program. So we've got a great program where members can look at all our different rates and choose a rate that is best for them and how they use power. So if you choose a rate that benefits you by conserving during peak times, you're going to see lower power bills. If you pick a rate that you can shift your load from a higher use time to a lower use time and the rate is lower at that time, then you're going to save on your bill, and all those also benefit the utility. So I encourage everyone to look at our lifestyle rate program and see, if there's a rate that might be a better option for them on how they use power.
Yeah, that's great information. And I think it's important for members to know that they have a lot of control over their energy bill. I think the joke kind of is, I think sometimes people think we just look in a crystal ball and decide what each person's bill is going to be every month. But really, there's a lot of actions that members can take to use energy more efficiently and wisely to help keep their bills low overall, in addition to having lower rates. And obviously, that's the big focus of our program here today. But maybe what's something to kind of get that portion of the conversation started that members can do at home to help keep their usage and in result their bill low?
Sure. So the first thing I would suggest doing is look at our usage online. We've got a great portal called Member Hub
Smart Hub.
Smart Hub. Thank you. Yes, totally thinking of something else. Smart Hub that our members can go in there and look at their hourly usage. It's a great tool for them to see how they use power, when they use power the most, and go in there and see if there's something they can do to shift their loads, compare that to the rate options that are out there and see if there's a better rate for them. The energy hogs during the summer are going to be your air conditioning, and it's not encouraged to do laundry at 3 o'clock in the afternoon when it was 99 degrees. So if there's a way you could shift that to the off peak or even the super off peak periods, and you're on a rate that encourages you and rewards you for doing that, then that's what you should do if you want to save on your power bill. Secondly, check out the energy saving tips we have online. We've got some great tools on our website. So I encourage everyone to go and look at those. Thirdly, if you have an inefficient home, you can schedule an energy audit with one of our energy advisors. They're happy to come out and give you some energy saving tips in addition to what we have available online. We do have what's called we have an energy program where you can get some incentives for some energy efficiency upgrades. So they can talk to you about all that in those programs. And then, just have a conversation with our energy advisors if they come out and ask them what you can do and, better and help save on your bill and help your home be more energy efficiency. And we've got 2 great energy advisors. So I highly encourage, having conversations with them and reaching out to them if you have interest in doing that.
Thank you. And that was actually a perfect segue. I'm actually going to bring Lauren and Jeff on screen now. Jeff is one of the energy advisors that Tim was just talking about, and they're going to talk to you a little bit more about efficiency for your home in this next portion of the program. But thank you so much, Tim, for joining us. And I know you'll be sticking around for the Q&A. So if anybody has questions, go ahead and enter those in the chat as we go.
Awesome.
Lauren?
Thank you, Krista.
Yep. Lauren, I'll pass it back to you.
Okay, well, thank you, Krista and Tim. That was really interesting to learn a little more about what's going on and what Cobb EMC and our members can do. First, I do want to thank Jeff for being part of our event today. I'm sure that you have plenty of helpful tips in regards to helping our members lower their usage and save money. So I do have a few questions about the audit process and energy efficiency improvements. So Jeff, if you're ready, I would like to start at the beginning. So if our member does decide that they would like to have an audit done at their home, how would they go about requesting one?
Yeah, the easiest way to do that. And let me back up, Lauren, everyone. Thank you for having me on today. So glad to talk to everybody. But no, the easiest way is to call into the Cobb EMC to our member line and request an energy audit. And the person on the other end of the line, they'll set up a contact, which either myself or Michael Blair, we're the 2 gentlemen that do audits for Cobb. We'll get those contacts and then we'll call the member and schedule an energy audit.
Okay, so it sounds easy enough. So once that member is able to get in contact with us and get that scheduled, tell us about what happens when you come out for an audit. So what is that process? What are you looking for? Just so the members have an understanding of what to expect while you're there.
Yeah, sure. It's pretty straightforward. It's a basic walkthrough energy audit, and I'll come out to your home. I like to start in the attic. I'll have a look at the insulation, and by far the number one thing we see out there is lack of attic insulation. But we'll check out the insulation, look at the HVAC ductwork, walk the main floor of the home, walk the exterior of the home, and what we're doing, we're trying to just look for common sense items, where a homeowner can save money.
Okay, so it is great to learn a little bit more about what takes place because honestly, I didn't even really know everything that went into it. So it does really show the value of having one done. So obviously you've done a lot of audits. So what is one of the biggest sources of energy loss that you see during those audits?
Yeah, and again, I'll kind of focus a little bit on the attic insulation. Yeah, with the energy loss there, because that can make a huge difference. And how long your HVAC system runs is going to determine how your bill comes out. I've got a great analogy that I like to use, and I hope everybody can see this. Let me fix this. I've got a little blur going on. Let me get my blur out of here.
There you go.
So I have a little Coleman cooler right here, and I love this analogy, but think about it like this. Okay, you go to the beach, right? And you're going to take this cooler, and you're going to fill up with water and drinks, and then at 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock in the afternoon, it's all still cold. Why is that? Well, you've got a nice sealed envelope right here. It's sealed up, it's insulated, and that's how a cooler works. Well, with your house, and I hope y'all like my little house here, see the windows and the doors. The house, that's your goal. You want to try to do the same thing with your house. But with homes, we have to contend with windows and doors and things like that. So that's why it's very important, to make sure your weather stripping and caulking's in good shape. But you want to have very good, the bottom line is you want to have very good insulation in your attic. Up until a couple of years ago, attic insulation, the code was R30. So you're looking at maybe 14 to 15 inches of blow-in insulation. That's a good bit of insulation. And then about 2 years ago, it was bumped up for our area. It's R38 now. So that's in the 17 to 18 inch range. But again, if, like it's very hot right now, we're all running our AC. If you have enough attic insulation in there, that cuts down the runtime of the HVAC system. You don't use as much power and your bill is less. So that's why, I mean, it's very important to have really, really good insulation. On that note, also, your HVAC system itself, make sure that you have that serviced on a regular basis. You know, if you can, at least once a year, because, you know, if the Freon in the cooling system, the Freon is the gas inside an air conditioner that makes it cool, right? So it is possible for any system to leak and get low on Freon. If that occurs, the system's going to run because it's trying to satisfy the thermostat on your wall. Well, if the system's not cooling right, the thermostat doesn't know when to shut off. It'll run way too much and the bill goes up. So again, HVAC system, largest user of power in the home. So make sure you keep that thing in good operating order, you know, service, changing filters on a regular basis.
Okay, so then playing off of the question I just asked as well, we had a few members that asked if it was good to proactively replace appliances in their home, such as their HVAC, before it goes out. So what is your thoughts on that?
Yeah, and all of this stuff we're talking about is a common sense approach, right? So if you've got an HVAC system, it's, yeah, maybe it is an older unit, but it's running great. You're not having to have it serviced all the time. In other words, you're not, you know, every couple of months, you don't have to have the HVAC guy come out and add Freon to it, but it's running good. I recommend running the system until it breaks. And the reason is, if you are looking at a new system, and if you've priced any systems lately, you're going to find out that they're really, really expensive now. So if you look at it from a cost standpoint, your return on investment is going to take a while. Yes, the system is going to operate more efficiently, but that payback is going to take a long time. Another way, think about it like this: if you've got an older system and at your supply, you know, where the cold air blows into the house, if you're getting 52, 55 degree air, that's great. It's where it ought to be. You can drop $15,000 or $20,000, and you're still going to have the same air temperature coming out of the supply. Granted, yes, it's going to be more efficient, but you kind of can't justify the long-term payoff and the expense of a new system. So, but yeah, if the system's running right, run it till it breaks. Obviously, if you're having issues, they're having to come out and service it all the time, then yeah, then you may want to consider looking into a new system.
That makes sense. So as long as it's going well, might as well keep it while you can.
Yes. Yeah.
So then also, like, as you mentioned, that can be pretty costly. So we have a lot of improvements that members can make, given they can be a little more expensive, and not everyone does have that kind of money right now to devote to them. So do you have any like low to no cost actions that members could take to still save energy and money in their home?
Yeah, sure. One of the big things is your thermostat control. Make sure in Cobb EMC, we go by the DOE, that's the Department of Energy. We go by their recommendations. So it's 78 in the summer and 68 in the winter. I tell a lot of people, you know, when I'm 78 in the summer comes out of my mouth, people look at me really funny and say, you're crazy. But just understand that's the recommendation. Now, you can certainly, you know, run it cooler in your home, but just understand you're going to use more energy, and the bill is going to be a little higher. Another thing you can do, you know, something you may not think about is, I was going to bring an example and I just kind of forgot. But if you go, you know, like Lowe's or Home Depot, and I think we may have some at Cobb, I'm not sure. But anyway, on your exterior plugs and switches on your home, the plate right there, those can be really leaky. Like in the wintertime on a windy day, if you've ever walked by and, oh wow, where's all that cold air coming from? And you put your hand over the switch and you feel cold air. Well, there's some little pre-cut foam insulators that you can buy that come for plugs and switches. But you just take that, and again, let me emphasize safety. And if you're a semi-do-it-yourselfer, you can probably do that. But you want to take that plastic cover off. You just insert the foam insert and put the cover back on. But that's an inexpensive way to stop some air leaks. If you feel air coming in around a switch or a plug, that's an inexpensive way to address that as well.
Yeah, and then I know doesn't also having shades or blinds on your window, that kind of helps as well.
Correct. That reduces solar heat gain. Yeah, thank you. But yeah, having blinds or curtains, you know, and you've got a side of the house that's really catching a lot of heat. Anytime you can, in the summer, especially when you can reduce that solar heat gain, that's going to help the home stay cooler. The HVAC system doesn't work as hard. I've been in some homes, and it's modern architecture, right? I've been in some homes where the whole back of the house is just about glass. In some of those instances, there's some really good solar window tints on the market now. They have like this high metallic content. They reflect a lot of the solar heat gain, but they still let some natural ambient light in. So that would be a good option as well.
Yeah, and a lot of things, well, one, it's really good because a lot of those can be implemented today, but also I think that's good for people who are renting too, because a lot of those things are renter friendly. I mean, adding blinds,
Yes. Yeah.
Insulation is always welcomed. But I did want to ask, there are some few questions that we got from members from registration. They're going to be kind of quick questions, but we did have one member who was asking if a front loading washer and dryer was more efficient. Is there any difference with that?
Yeah, from an efficiency standpoint, like a front loading washing machine, obviously it's going to use less water. That's kind of the design concept. You get a top loader, it fills up, it's going to, I don't know, 15 gallons, 20 gallons of water, and you don't use nearly as much water with a front loader. So yes, that in that scenario for water savings, it's definitely more efficient.
Gotcha. And then we had another one. We had a member who was asking how to make their wood windows more efficient.
I'm sorry, did you say wood windows?
Yes, they're wood windows. Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. If you like, okay, you've got a home, and so you've got some older wood windows in there, but they're in good shape. They've lasted, and you want to maintain them. One of the big things is make sure that the caulking around those windows on the exterior is in good shape. Caulking is one of those things, I call it like a wear item, especially if you've got a side of the house that's catching a lot of sun. That UV will break that caulk down and it'll start cracking and falling out. So if that's going on, again, you go to, some of the big box stores, I don't know if I should say the name of it, some of the big box hardware stores, and go get some caulk and a caulk gun and have yourself a caulking party and just re-caulk around, doors and windows if that's what's going on.
And this is going to be our last one of these questions, but we actually just had a member, and I'm bouncing back a bit, but he was asking, or they were asking, is there one that's better between blinds, curtains, or shades? Is there a difference between any of those three?
They're all pretty good. Well, there are good ways to reflect that, but I would say that if you had some heavy drapes or curtains, they're probably going to do a better job of rejecting heat than a thin aluminum blind or some of the plastic blinds. Yeah, they'll push the light back out, but I would say like a heavy curtain or drape would probably do a better job with that.
And that makes sense. So Jeff, I'm actually going to go ahead and move on to my last question.
Yeah, sure.
And as you're answering this, I do want to warn everyone, Chris is going to go ahead and pull up some slides for our next portion because it might take a second. So disregard that if you see it pop up. But if a member is wanting to start making investments in their home's improvement, where would you recommend they start?
Yeah, if you look at it from a return on investment, by far attic insulation, because it's not that terribly expensive to have your attic brought up to code. And on average, like say if you've got a house, it's got some really poor insulation up there, and you bring it up to R38. On average, you can recoup those costs in 2.5 to 3 years. So by far, I would recommend doing insulation as the number one item. Also the servicing of the heating and air system. If you have not had that system serviced in quite a while, maybe consider doing that, because that's the largest user of power in the home, and that's a system that you want to keep operating properly.
Gotcha. Okay, well, thank you, Jeff. I do feel like everything you spoke about really helped us with your recommendations, and hopefully a lot of us can go home and implement them ourselves.
All right, thank you, Lauren.
Of course, thank you. So next we are going to go over the resources we have available for our members through our website and Energy Network. One of the resources we do offer is our at-home energy efficiency kit. So these kits can be requested by members via our website, and the link will also be included in a follow-up email we send after the webinar concludes. But we are going to go over it with a quick video that just kind of explains what's inside the kit, as well as how to use it in your home. So Krista is going to play that once it comes up. Today we are showing you one of Cobb EMC's at-home energy efficiency kits. When you first open the kit, you'll see a product guide, which provides an overview of the items inside. We'll save this for later since we are going to walk through those items with you now. Next, we have an LED nightlight. These nightlights provide a great alternative to lighting in your space. The nightlight can sense when it's dark or light and turn on or off accordingly. They use very little electricity and can help you stay safe by lighting dark areas of your home. The next two items in the kit are an 11-watt and 9-watt LED light bulb. Both of these bulbs can provide up to 25,000 hours of light. They're dimmable, and they use only a fraction of the energy an incandescent light bulb would. By replacing the incandescent light bulbs in your home, you can save big on your energy bills each month. Another safety item is the Cobb EMC Mini Pop-Up LED Lantern. While Cobb EMC has highly reliable electricity, in the event of an outage, this lantern can cast a bright light that you can use to illuminate your home and stay safe. The kit includes 3 AAA batteries, and the lantern itself has a hook for easy hanging in your space. The lantern will light up automatically when open, and you can slide it up or down to control the brightness of your lantern. The last items included in the kit are 2 Wi-Fi enabled smart sockets. You can plug in any device or accessory that fits into a standard wall outlet. The advantage of the smart socket is that it can be turned on or off with the button on the side of the socket, the sound of your voice, or it can be controlled from anywhere in the world with the Simply Conserve mobile app. You can also set timers to automatically activate your socket according to your busy schedule. With each socket, instructions are included on how to use it, as well as download the Simply Conserve app to your smartphone. These kits are available at our office upon request from members. We hope you enjoyed learning more about how to make your home just a little bit brighter and more energy efficient. So as I did say in the video, you are more than welcome to come on our website and request one of those, and you can pick them up at our office, but we are going to include that in a link in our email that we are going to send after the webinar concludes today. But Krista, what are some of the other resources that Cobb EMC offers our members?
What we are trying to share with members on the screen right now is just a high-level overview of some of our Cobb EMC resources. And like Lauren mentioned, after our webinar today, we're going to be sharing out a link to our Energy Efficiency Resource Center. And in that Resource Center, members can find a lot of helpful information. Like Tim was talking about with me at the very beginning of the program, it's really important for all of our members to save electricity, especially during those high energy times, those peak hours. And to do that, we have resources available. On our Energy Efficiency Resource Center, we have tips for our members, a lot of the things that Jeff mentioned, plus more of those low to no cost items so that members can do those changes in their homes. We also there have tools such as a place where members can click to see an appliance calculator. So if you know you have a lot of different appliances in your home, you can calculate approximately what the cost could be, and you can experiment a little bit to see if you have different hours that those are accessible. Also linked there are a lot of the programs and resources. I know, Lauren, you're going to talk a little bit more about our loan program and our energy network incentives. So all of this is really encapsulated in, we have this great resource center for members, and we really just wanted to stress the importance of everybody conserving energy. I know it's tough when it's hot outside, but really that's only going to help our members with keeping our rates low, and on a more personal note, keeping the efficiency of your individual home up to snuff as well. And you could always monitor that through our Cobb EMC app, through our Smart Hub Resource Center. You're able to see your daily and hourly energy use so that you can see, as you make changes in your home, what that actually looks like. And we also have in there our weather layer as well, so that you can see as the temperature goes up and down, how does the energy use change within your home. So if you're wanting to be more energy efficient, just know that Cobb EMC, as your trusted energy advisor, we're here as a resource for you. We want to help our members use energy more efficiently so that they can make the smartest energy decisions possible for their home. And Lauren, if you want to talk to our members a little bit about our energy network incentives and also the loan program, all of this, again, is available in our Energy Efficiency Resource Center.
Of course. Thank you, Krista. So currently we do have a few energy efficiency incentives as well as loan programs that are available to our members. I'm going to start first with our incentives. So right now we do have 3. We currently have an up to $500 energy efficiency incentive. So that one is going to cover a water heating replacement, attic insulation, air leak sealing, duct sealing, and LED lighting. Those are all eligible for the improvement. So if you're having any of those done, you are more than welcome to apply for them. The other two that we have right now is we have a $100 incentive, and that is for installing a smart thermostat. And we also have a $250 one for installing an EV charger. So one thing I do want to mention about those two incentives, because we do get asked this a lot, is that with your thermostat and your charger, you are more than welcome to purchase it from wherever you like. There is no technicality as to where you have to buy it. And also the only technicality actually with the charger is that we do request it needs to be a level 2. But each of those 3 incentives go through the same 6-step process to apply for them. So I'm just going to go through a high-level summary of those with you now. But the first step is going to be optional. That is if you would like to have an audit done in your home. If you would, you are more than welcome to give us a call to go online and get that scheduled. But if you'd prefer not to, we would go ahead to step 2. So step 2 is going to be when you go ahead and have whatever improvement you're having done, have it completed. So you're more than welcome to do it by yourself if you'd like, but we do have a whole list of approved contractors that we would love for you to use as well. But whether you do it yourself or you have someone do it for you, once the work is done, we're going to go to step 3. And that's when you're going to come to our website and you are going to go ahead and choose your incentive and you're going to request it. So step 4 is when we are going to send you an email. We're going to say, yes, you were approved or no, you were not. And if you are approved, then we're going to ask you to submit supporting documents. So what that means is we're going to ask you for a receipt or an invoice, depending on how the work was done. And then we're going to ask you for some photos of the improvement that was made. So for example, if you do insulation, we'd love to see what it looked like beforehand and what it looked like after. But once we receive those documents, we are going to go ahead to step 5, and that's when you're going to receive your incentive. So during the process, you're able to choose if you would like a bill credit or if you would like a check, but whatever you choose, that is when we're going to pay it out. And step 6 is that we always really love to hear your feedback. We always like to know what type of experience you had. So step 6 is just sharing that feedback with us. So on the next slide, I'm actually going to go over our loan program that we do offer. So we offer loans for improvements that might be a little more costly. So we have partnered with Go Energy Financial to offer a more flexible payment option for those improvements. And since every loan is unique, do feel free to email us directly at marketing@cobbemc.com with any questions you may have. But there are a few requirements with the loans that you do need to keep in mind. One is that we do ask you to use an approved contractor. And we also have a list of qualifying improvements that need to be done. So those are the 2 things that you do need to follow, and they are both listed on our website. We are going to include the link in that email at the end of this webinar as well. But once you choose your improvement, there are just a few little facts about the loans that are always good to know as well. You are generally going to be approved by Go Energy Financial within 24 to 48 hours after you apply. And once you have been approved by them for a loan, you will have 60 days to complete and close that loan. Also, all of your payments are going to be set up and handled by Go Energy Financial as well. So that is our loan program. And then actually, we are going to go ahead and move into our Q&A portion of our webinar today. So I am going to start with some questions that we received from registration. So if I could ask all of my speakers to come back on camera and unmute their mics, that would be great. And then, Jeff, I'm actually going to start with you for my first question.
Okay.
So is it better to leave your AC at one constant temperature or adjust it when you're not home or at night?
Yeah, in general, it's better to leave it pretty constant now. And ideally, you want to have a programmable thermostat where at night it'll actually bump it up a couple of degrees. And a programmable thermostat really works well if you have a regular routine in your home. Like let's say everybody's out at 8 a.m. and they're not back till 5 in the afternoon. In that case, yeah, you can take that thermostat and set it where, when everybody leaves, it bumps up a couple of degrees. Mm-hmm. And then say, everybody comes in at 5, well, program the thermostat, say 4 o'clock, start bringing the temperature back down. But what you don't want to do is have huge temperature swings. You don't want to make large swings on your thermostat. That rule especially applies to someone if you have a heat pump at your house. Usually it's a total electric home. They have heat pumps. And heat pumps, especially in the winter time, you don't want to make really large temperature swings on that thermostat. Heat pump is very efficient till you get down around 35, 32 degrees, and it has to have a supplemental heat source after that point. That supplemental heat source is electric resistance heat. So if you make a huge temperature swing in the winter on a heat pump, it can run your bill up because it's running the regular heat pump cycle plus the electric resistance heat coil unit.
Gotcha. Okay, so it seems like I actually have a ton of questions for you, Jeff.
Oh,
You're popular. So the next question is going to be, what electrical device in a home burns the most energy, and does unplugging it at night help?
Yeah, by far, again, that's going to be the HVAC system.
Okay.
It's working hard. It's running a compressor. There's a fan out on the condenser running. Then you've got the blower motor in the house it's running. So that, again, that's by far the largest user of power. If you're worried about that, kind of sounds like that question went a little bit into what's used to be known as phantom load. That really got a lot of press when the first plasma televisions came out. In the being off, just sitting there, the old plasmas would use a lot of power. That's called phantom load. But yes, if you've got, say you've got an entertainment system, and you're concerned about maybe some items sitting in standby and using a little power, just plug everything into a power strip. And then, you can, if you're going out of town for a few days, just unplug the power strip and you've eliminated any type of phantom load in that situation.
Okay. So next question for you, Jeff. Is it best to install a timer on your electric water heater because they are in an all electric home?
I don't know, try to set, first of all, if you have small children in a home, make sure the thermostat on the water heater set at about 120 degrees or less. You don't want to, create a scalding situation. But concerned about having a timer on the water heater, you could look into that, but I don't know if I would necessarily want to do that because if you get an electric water heater, you could have a little bit of a spike, if it's off and then it comes back on and it has to bring the water back up to temperature. I think I would kind of recommend just, water heaters are pretty efficient the way they're designed. If you're looking at possibly replacing a water heater, you could look into some tankless systems. A lot of people like tankless because again, on a tankless system, it's not heating the water, it's instantaneous. When you turn the spigot on, it starts heating, and then it's off when you turn the water off.
Gotcha. Okay. So next one, do you have to own a home for an audit, or can you also come out to apartments?
Generally, we can come out, I've done it. Come out to an apartment, but generally with an apartment, they have their own maintenance group to maintain them. And they, if an apartment is a built structure, they're really not going to do anything about adding insulation or anything of that nature if it were needed. Now, but you can in an apartment, if you think, hey, my air conditioner just doesn't seem to be cutting it, it's not cooling, call your maintenance folks there and say, hey, look, this thing needs to be serviced. Also, if you have an apartment with an electric water heater, and you think your bill maybe has gone up or you seem to be running out of hot water pretty quick, an electric water heater has two heating elements in it, and it can happen. One of the elements can go bad, and then the remaining heating element is running almost continuously, and that can drive the bill up. So just, you can, in an apartment situation, you can request, call maintenance and have those things looked at to see, if there's a problem with them.
That makes sense. Okay, so then next one, do ceiling and attic vent fans improve efficiency?
Yeah, they can, ceiling fan. Yeah, when you're in the room and you run the fan, yeah, it can help you feel more comfortable in the room because it's moving air across your skin, and so you may feel a little cooler. But yeah, just use, again, it's common sense stuff. If you're leaving the room or leaving the house, just turn your fans off. I know that sounds very, yeah, I promise you, I've been in numerous homes over the years on audits. There's a fan in every room and every one of them is wide open. And they stay that way. I ask the question, do you ever turn these off? No, we run them. Granted, it's a small electric motor, but if you've got 8 or 10 of them in a house, that's going to add something to the bill. So just, yeah.
Okay, so then let's see. Okay, so I did have a member ask if having trees in their yard could help lower AC costs.
Yeah, if you've got trees, and obviously their trees are good and healthy, and they're shading part of the house, they can definitely, they're reducing heat load or reducing the heat gain on the house from the sun. So yeah, that can definitely help your HVAC system not to have to work as hard.
Gotcha. Okay, so it looks like we have a few more. We had a member who asked about dehumidifiers, and even though they help, is the additional power usage really justified? So I guess
Yeah.
how much that's really using.
Yeah, and two, yes, and this is what I tell people. I mean, yeah, if you've got a humidity issue in your basement, then yes, you need to control it somehow. But yeah, a dehumidifier and a good dehumidifier, they are basically a small heating and air system. There's a little compressor in there, and that's how they remove the humidity. So if you're, ideally you don't want to run one 24/7. They have settings on those dehumidifiers where maybe you can bring it down to 70% or 60% humidity, where that way it's cycling, it's not running continuously. But just yeah, if you have those settings, you may want to definitely make sure you're using that.
Gotcha. Okay, so I'm actually going to give you a break for a second, and I have a question.
Okay.
For Tim. So Tim, we did have a member who was asking where they could find peak times and off-peak times.
Okay, so if you are on the Smart Choice rate, the peak times are 2 p.m. to 7 p.m. and that's on our website under the rates under Smart Choice. Peak days vary from summer to summer depending on the load. For example, we're getting a lot of heat early this year. So this year we've already exceeded the entire peak of all last summer, which was the highest hourly load. So next week looks very hot. So I'm going to go out there and encourage everyone to pay attention to that and conserve if they can with some possibly 100-degree temperatures coming next week. So when we call peak notification, it's based on what we think the load's going to be based on some of our power supply contracts, where if we call peak notification and our members can conserve, we can save through those power supply contracts, which keeps our rates low. So it's not specific days each summer, but there is a rate, the Smart Choice rate, that does have specific peak times from 2 to 7. And the Night Flex rate, which is a time of use rate, has set hours too. So you have super off peak from midnight to 6 a.m. You've got the off peak from 6 a.m. to 1 p.m. and 9 p.m. to 12 p.m. And then you've got the on peak from 1 p.m. to 9 p.m. And of course, the Night Flex rate is the rate where you get to 400 kilowatt hours free between midnight and 6 per month. And so if you can, again, talking about that shifting load earlier, if you can shift load from an on peak to an off peak period, that's one of the rates that you could actually save money on your bill. That also is a benefit to the utility.
Gotcha, thank you. So there's actually a question that I can answer. We had a member who was asking in regards to being entered for that bill credit, the $25 bill credit, if there's anything they need to do. So as long as you stuck it out through our entire webinar, you're already eligible. So there's nothing else you need to do besides stay with us till the end. But actually, it looks like I'm going to bounce back to Jeff really quick. I do have a question for you. We had a member who was asking about the attic vent fans with the thermostat draws hot air out of the attic. How should they be set seasonally?
Yeah, the attic ventilation fans. First of all, I'm not a huge fan of those, and I'll give you the reason why. Is the whole attic vent fan, they can actually create a negative pressure in the attic, and what that'll do, everywhere that you may have an air leak, be it like a fan in the ceiling, a light fixture, especially around the attic access, you've got to pull down. If you create a negative pressure up there, then all that conditioned air that you're producing in the home with your HVAC gets sucked out of the house. So yeah, if you had an attic fan like that, then you make sure that you air seal everything. But back to your answer, I think the thermostat setting on those, and again, I should know that cold and I don't, but I want to say, I'll probably have it set where come on around 130, 140 degrees maybe. Because you don't want the thing. I've been in homes before. I've been in homes in the wintertime, and I'll go up and the fans running up there. Well, they shouldn't be running in the wintertime. So just don't, they don't need to be running continuously. But, when it gets, really hot up there, say starting 11, 12 o'clock in the day, make sure those things are kicking on up there if you have them in your home already.
Gotcha. Okay. And I think we're actually getting towards our last few questions. So I do want to encourage, if anyone does have questions, please feel free to submit them because we still have some time. And we actually got another one. Okay, so are solar hot water heaters recommended in our area?
Solar water heating.
Water heaters, water heating.
Yeah, I mean, that's still yeah, it's still a very viable technology. There's a lot of that, and another thing that I've seen a little more of, there's solar water heating to heat a swimming pool. That's a very good way to heat a pool. But yeah, before solar PV really started taking off like it is now several years ago, I went and I looked at several solar water heating systems. So yeah, that is still a very viable technology now. Yes.
Okay, so then I think it is my last question, or one of my last questions. We did have a member who was asking, is a whole house fan useful in their area with suitable insulation covering it when not in use, of course?
Yes, I'll give you my spiel on whole
Okay.
house fans. Okay, we live in the Southeast, right? So we got a lot of humidity, a lot of heat, and a lot of pollen. So when you look at it from an energy efficiency standpoint, whole house fans, I don't like them, because that's what they're going to do. You've only got a couple of weeks. Ideally, you've only got a couple of weeks in the fall and a couple of weeks in the spring when you can use one. Otherwise, you're pulling in all that stuff I mentioned: heat, humidity, and pollen. What I will usually recommend if I go into a home that has a whole house fan, least cost option, I'll tell the homeowner, have it disconnected where it can't be turned on, and then insulate over it. Like maybe it's got those, people that have them know what it is, but they got louvers there. So you want to lay plastic over those louvers or that kind of air seal it and then just insulate over it. Because again, from an energy efficiency standpoint, whole house fans, no, I don't think so.
Well, it looks like we did get another one that popped in. Jeff, is it better to have your HVAC fan on continuously or on auto?
It's better to have it on auto. Now, I understand, and I have been in homes where the family or a family member has a lot of allergies, okay, and they'll have a nice big HEPA filtering system on. So yeah, if you've got a situation like that, then you probably need to run it all the time. But if that is not the case, you want it to stay in auto, because when it's in auto, when the HVAC system comes on, then the fan starts working. So HVAC system, it shuts off. You really don't want that thing running continuously because you're adding to your bill. It's consuming power.
Gotcha. Makes sense. Okay, so then let's see. I am going to go ahead with my question. So first, I did want to mention, if anyone is interested on our webinar today and learning a little bit more about solar, I know we did receive quite a lot of interest in that topic. We are going to have a webinar on July 14th that we welcome you to be part of. We are going to post the link in our follow-up email, so you should be able to register from there. But Jeff, I did want to ask, are there any solar options that are available to our members?
Yeah, the solar is very popular now, as I'm sure all of you have seen it in the media. But just some recommendations I would give if you're thinking about solar. I would recommend looking at a local contractor or someone in the state of Georgia. Over the past 12 to 24 months, we've had a lot of contractors come in from outside of the state of Georgia. And just if you, again, you're using common sense and you think about it, in 2 or 3 years, if you have a problem with your system, to me, you might have a hard time getting hold of somebody in Arizona or Utah to correct whatever the issue is. So look at some local contractors here in Georgia. There's some very good ones. Also, look at other things like if you have an HOA, you definitely need to talk to your HOA first. Say if you get an estimate and they come in and do a site survey, are they going to have to cut down 200 trees so you'll get enough sun for it? Another big one too is the age of your roof. If you have a roof that is at end of life, you don't want to put solar panels on it and then have to replace the roof in a couple of years. You're going to take all the panels off. So if that's the case, you need to put a new roof on first before you put the panels on. So just things to consider.
Keep in mind.
Hey, Lauren, may I piggyback on that for a moment?
Of course you can.
I was say we've got some great resources on our website for our members of what questions to ask the solar installers, because the last thing that we'd ever want to see for our members is to make an uninformed decision on installing rooftop solar. There's definitely benefits of rooftop solar, but there's also an investment you're making. So we've got a lot of resources on our website to help you make the best decision on whether solar is right for you or not. So we highly encourage everyone to go and explore that website. We also have some vendors and local installers that we have vetted that's out there that will help you know who to reach out to and the right questions to ask and all that. So please check that out. So you've got all the facts and make sure when you get that quote back from that solar installer, it is legitimate. The calculations are correct, and it's giving you an accurate payback, because that's very important in making that decision whether to invest in that solar or not.
Of course. Thank you.
Thank you,
both.
Tim.
Thank you both. So I want to go ahead. I think we're actually going to conclude. I wanted to say to any of the questions we were not able to get to, we will reach out via email if we're able. And then I wanted to thank all of our speakers, Tim, Krista, and Jeff, for being part of our webinar today. And thank you for the audience for sticking with us as well. If you're still on the webcast, you are eligible for today's drawing. So TIM members will win a $25 bill credit. We will be sending out an email to all of our attendees and registrants with a recording of today's event, as well as several energy efficiency resources and a brief summary. In that email, we will also let you know if you are a winner of the bill credit. But we do want to thank you all again for joining us today, and we hope you guys have a great afternoon.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.